Today we embark on a journey back to ancient Israel, to a time before kings reigned in the heart of Jerusalem. A time when God was king and judges served. Our destination? The book of Judges, chapter 4, where the courage of faith clashes with the might of iron. In the land of Canaan, the Israelites found themselves ensnared by the oppressive rule of King Jabin and his formidable general Sisera. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of Deborah, a prophetess and judge, whose unwavering faith ignited a rebellion against tyranny. Summoned by the triune God, Deborah sought out Barak, a hesitant warrior, and delivered a command from the Lord. "Gather your men," she declared, "for the time has come to confront the tyrant's might." Yet Barak, like many, trembled at the thought of facing the fearsome Sisera and his iron chariots. But oh, how little did Sisera know of the Lord's hand at play, of the iron will of a woman named Jael, whose faith burned brighter than the fiery chariots he trusted in. As the battle raged on, Sisera, the mighty general, found himself fleeing on foot as his army was being routed by the people of Israel, seeking refuge where he least expected it. Here in verses 17 through 22, we encounter a moment of irony. Jael, wife of Heber, the Kenite, beckoned Sisera into her tent, offering him respite from the storm of battle. Little did he suspect the treachery concealed behind her gentle smile, the courage pulsating in her veins. As Sisera drifted into slumber, lulled by false security, Jael seized her moment. With a resolve forged in faith and a courage drawn from the depths of her soul, she took up a tent peg, a seemingly insignificant piece of iron against the might of his chariots, and struck a blow through his head that echoed through the ages. In that singular act, the arrogance of Sisera's trust in iron was shattered, and the triumph of faith was revealed. For in the hands of a faithful woman, a small iron peg became the instrument of God's justice, sealing the fate of the oppressor and heralding the dawn of deliverance for Israel. The demise of Sisera sent shockwaves throughout the land, striking fear into the heart of Israel's enemies. Barak's army emerged victorious, and the oppressive yoke of Jabin's reign was shattered. This gripping tale reminds us that in times of adversity, even the most unlikely heroes can rise to the occasion. It speaks of the power of faith, courage, and God's intervention in the face of insurmountable odds. Join us as we delve deeper into the annals of antiquity, uncovering the hidden truths and timeless lessons buried within the sands of time. May your faith be as steadfast as Jael's, and your courage as unyielding as the iron peg that brought down a tyrant. May you draw inspiration from Jael's faith and courage, remembering that even the smallest among us can wield the power to change the world for the glory of God and for the people of God. How even a tent peg can encourage us to live as God commands us before the tyrants of our day.
Welcome to the Tent Peg. I'm Abby, and this is my dad, Nick. He's a pastor.
Hold
I'm
up.
a pastor's kid.
Before we get going too far, we got to have, so if you're watching, listening, or I guess that's the only two things you can do. You can't smell it. If you're watching or listening, we want you to share or like.
What if they're feeling it?
If they're feeling it, then they should go on Twitter and find us there, and they should, what do you do on Twitter?
Follow, repost.
Yes, all that
Share
stuff.
the link.
And then go to Insta Twitter, which is next to Facegram.
Also, it's not called Twitter. It's called
Twitter.
X.
I don't have any clue what I'm talking about.
You do too.
I know. I have all these things. You don't even have them. So go figure that out, because I'm just the cool
I do
head.
actually have them.
Really?
Yeah.
You told your mom? I'm just kidding.
You know she follows me.
Welcome to the Tent Peg. As Abby said, I am a pastor. I'm also her dad, which is really kind of good for her. And she wasn't adopted. We broke her heart with that a long time ago.
Yeah. I don't want to look like him. I don't want to be related to him.
And you even act like me, so it's terrible.
Yeah.
So we are, though, the Tent Peg. And as Abby mentioned, I'll give you a little bit about me, and then you can tell them about you a little bit. So okay. I'm her dad, obviously. I'm also a pastor. I'm also bivocational, I guess. Some guys call it co-vocational.
What is that?
Because I work somewhere else for, I work for a...
So it's like bilingual.
Bilingual. So because I work for a company, so that's my main source of income. I get paid from the church a little bit. So it's like co-vocational, some guys are using it, or bivocational. But needless to say, I'm a pastor. All that to say, I'm a pastor. And I work somewhere, and I have a zillion kids.
But he does get mistaken for homeless a lot. So don't let that kind of, overthrow that.
And I also get senior citizen discount.
He does, yeah.
Which is fantastic considering I'm not old enough for it. Mm-hmm. So that's good.
Wait, are you sure?
It's a lot of. I don't have enough fingers to count.
You're more than middle
anymore.
aged, sir.
I am actually. That's true. What am I then? Like golden age?
Golden
girls. I'm like the golden girls.
No,
but
you're a man.
Yeah, that's true. A golden guy. But that's who I am. And this is, what's your name again?
Oh, I wonder because I think you named me.
Well, when we found you and we adopted you, that's when we.
I thought you said I wasn't adopted.
I know.
This
I
hypocrite.
can't use
This
that
hypocrite.
anymore. I can't use that.
He calls himself a pastor, guys.
I know. It's terrible.
No, but my name is Abigail, or I go by Abby. It's a nickname, not my real name, but it's Abigail.
Really?
He named me.
Interesting.
He forgot, though.
Thought I just found you on the street and brought you in as a homeless child. Anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
You look homeless.
What else about you? What do you do? Where do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stinks to be you.
Yeah, I know.
I know. It could actually be your parents having to do that. Could you imagine that?
I know.
It's terrible.
Horrible parents.
Yeah. So we obviously are 100% sarcastic and we're complete idiots and have a lot of fun. That's kind of who we are. Right?
Yeah, maybe. A little bit.
Agreed. So what we're doing, though, with this idea of a tent peg is Abby has a lot of questions. She's learning. She's reading books, like getting into theology, things like that. And she has a lot of questions that she throws to me.
Yeah.
So we oftentimes sit in, this was, for you guys, this is a studio, but it's actually my pub, as we call it. It's my little back office.
It's not actually a bar, though.
No,
like,
it's
don't let that get confused.
But we do
or
take
anything.
tips. Anytime you want to send money, we will take it.
Will
No
we?
complaints? Oh, I will take anybody. They want to give me money? Come on, send me some money. Do some upgrades out here. So she asked these questions, and we were just talking. We're like, hey, this could be a fun thing for a podcast to do, or a video, or a show, whatever you want to call it. Because really, I mean, it'll be on podcast things, but it'll also be on video things.
YouTube, yeah.
So we thought about, let's actually do this and have some fun and actually record it. Yeah. And that was the idea. Since I've done like 5 different podcasts over the years and failed on all of them. It don't last that long. I thought maybe we could start one with somebody in the house with me.
Yeah.
And it's a whole lot easier to get together to do one. Because all I have to do is ground her, then she can't leave, and then we can record. It works. Perfect. See, these ideas are
I'm already homeschooled, so I'm already like chained at home.
That's true.
So
Yeah. Not literally chained, but.
Are you sure? Do you see the windows?
Shh, they're listening. We don't want to. Anyways, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to discuss this. We're going to, basically, Abby's going to be able to ask the questions that we think kids would ask.
Yeah,
if
or I
they
mean,
thought
people
about it,
my age
Yeah.
would have questions about.
Mm-hmm.
Or like just, they don't know the answer to, or they're too afraid to ask, or they just, like they're dealing with stuff. We can answer the questions.
Yeah. We'll go through things like, I mean, there's all kinds of topics we can go through. That's the cool thing about scriptures. There's so much.
It deals
in
with
it.
everything, actually.
Right.
So
Exactly. Like, I can't remember, it's Cornelius Van Til, I think, said, the Bible is authoritative on everything it speaks, and it speaks on everything.
Yeah.
So it has that rule and authority. So we thought, though, with that, we can discuss these kind of topics and ideas. Like, I mean, you can get into abortion, you can get into, like we've talked about many times, like dating versus courting, and what's the biblical way.
I have a very big take on that.
Yeah, so we'll eventually get into that. But we thought for episode number 1, rather than, getting into one of those, we just take why we came up with the name The Tent Peg.
Yeah.
If you listen to our intro, I mean, pretty cool setup. Like it gives you the idea that like a tent peg can cause you to be a very courageous person. Like courage was shown in that moment and that victory. So that's what we figured we'd kind of discuss and what we're thinking and start with kind of a thing about faith, more or less, right? About living for the glory of God. And so we kind of went that route. Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So in this text, as it began, so it was in Judges, if you were listening to our intro, in the book of Judges, chapter 4, verses 17 through like 21. My bifocals. Yeah.
Your bifocals.
I can barely read this, even with bifocals. The old people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not you young whippersnappers.
Right.
But with that, like there's this story of obviously Jael, where so you have Deborah and Barak and the Canaanites or Kenites or whatever it was. They're going to battle, and in this battle, Here comes Sisera, who's trusting his chariots. Like, I've got chariots of iron. These guys ain't going to beat me.
Well, isn't it the king, Jael?
Well, no, King was Jael was the woman, the wife. The woman that killed Sisera with the tent peg. So in this battle, basically Sisera's army gets routed.
I know
by
the
Israelites.
Story. Right. I just don't know the names that well.
It's okay. It's okay. You know the story. That's good because when you listen to a story, you want to get the principles drawn out of it.
Yeah.
So we see this, they're getting routed. So Sisera kind of flees, comes to this lady's tent, as it calls it, Jael. And she's like, hey, come on in. She obviously knows who he is, invites him in. And while he's in there, it's just like, it's weird. I think it says,
he hides under a blanket.
Yeah, under a blanket. And some say a rug, like, just rolled up like a burrito or something.
That would
I don't know.
I don't think he's very hidden that way.
No. But he goes in there and then she offers him a drink because he's thirsty. And which is wild to me when you think of that story. So there's this battle. He flees the battle, goes to this woman's tent, and he falls asleep. Because it says he fell asleep. Like, he falls asleep, so he gets lulled into this false sense of security.
And I think that's also on God's part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I think
100%.
Because, I don't think I would be able, with that mindset, you are the top general. Mm-hmm. The king sent you to go do this thing. And you just fall asleep in a tent. In the middle, while you fled, I don't think that would really, unless you have some type of superpower, which he obviously doesn't, I don't think that would really happen. So I think God kind of did a little magic there.
Right. Yeah, he puts him to sleep. And so Jael, who... she basically knew he was coming in, and she had plans. Like, was she going to turn him in? Was she going to kill him right there?
A lot of thoughts.
I don't know what went through her head because Scripture doesn't tell us, but I imagine, like in my head, I go, if I see this general coming, I'm in my house, and I see him coming, and here's the army, and I'm like, oh, they're getting their butts whooped. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pull him in, and my thoughts immediately going, like, should I grab him? Obviously, she couldn't overpower him because he's a general and she's a woman, so he's obviously a skilled fighter, and she probably knew better, so she had to find a way to lull him into, like, this false sense of security. Yeah. And what's crazy, though, is I like this picture in it. So he was trusting in iron chariots. She takes a tent peg, which some commentators, believe that it was probably an iron tent stake.
Sure it was. Yeah.
So she takes the same iron that he's trusting in, these big chariots and tons of them driven by horses. She takes one small little piece of iron and literally drives it through his skull.
With a hammer.
Him. Yeah, and just
I'm wondering where she got this hammer from.
She's probably married. She probably used it to beat her husband. No. Yeah. But I mean, so she did it, but like it says here, she hammered the peg into his temple and drove it into the ground.
Yeah. Into the ground.
Yes.
Keyword.
So he's dead and he ain't moving. he got driven into the ground.
He wasn't only just beat with that, but he was also driven into the ground. If you imagine that, how much force would she have to put into that hammer to go boom, boom, boom into the ground? Just like that. I don't know if it was sand they're on. I'm figuring they weren't.
Some type of dirt, right?
Yeah. So with that much strength, it's also crazy to think.
Well, yeah, because think of it. He's under a blanket, right? So you've got this little bit of protection, so to speak.
Yeah.
So she's going to take a tent peg and get it close to his temple, but not wake him up. Mm-hmm. I mean, something touches me pointed in metal. Yeah. I'm probably going to feel it. So looking through that story, that's pretty crazy and faithful. She exercised a lot of faith by doing that. Mm-hmm. She was trusting the Lord to make sure he died during it. Yeah. If she failed, she was dead. If he picked it up 100%. At any moment, she was dead. Mm-hmm. But she did not. She didn't hesitate. It doesn't say, she could have hesitated. It doesn't say, but being the way Scripture kind of lays it out, it kind of gives us the idea that this lady was determined to do this, and she did it.
I think it's by God's will. A lot of faith.
100%.
Because a lot of us, even me, I think, might have hesitated. But with that much faith, she just did it.
Yes.
And it's something to look up to in a way. She is a good woman for doing that. She's faithful, and God saw good in her eyes, in his eyes, for her to do that, to kill for righteousness. You know what I mean? It was a righteous death.
It was a righteous kill. Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Really, you want to look at it this way. It was a righteous execution.
Execution, yeah.
Because she saved the people. I mean, she didn't save them. They were already beaten them. But she took care of the general. And usually in those times when the general fell, the whole army fell because they didn't have the leadership. And so they would oftentimes scatter. And then Israel would chase them down and destroy them where they found them. So there's some principles in this text, though, some real strong principles that we can discuss. And again, this is why we wanted to call this the tent peg, because we want to be a place where we're just showing, like, to be a faithful, what it is to be a faithful Christian. Yeah. It doesn't mean you drive a tent peg through somebody's skull. Like, wives, don't do that to your husbands. That's stupid. That's awful. That's sinful.
They might.
You never know.
Sometimes you have to.
Well, praise the Lord,
I know.
Mom has not done that.
I saw Mom do it once, actually.
I saw her with a tent peg one day, and I ran. Yeah. But we were thinking, we've got this idea of a tent peg, and we want to show people how to be faithful. Like, we're not perfect. My hope for all of my kids is that they're always more faithful than I ever could be. Actually, at one of our men's Bible studies at the church, recently one of the guys said, he said, on my tombstone, I want my tombstone to say, at least he tried or something like that. So, because my kids are such good Christians, so faithful to the Lord, like, well, bless his soul, he tried. Like,
we probably would do that too.
Right. I'm like, hey, I could do that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense though. Like, so, but we want to encourage the next generation, to be faithful. Like, it takes a lot of faith to do what she did. And in life, there's a lot of points where we need to exercise faith. For instance, in our society we live in today, it's not any different than any other time. It's just some sins are more are exposed more than other sins in prior times, because Scripture tells us there's nothing new under the sun. But in our time, it's hard to be like faithful and not fall into societal sins. So there's a lot of societal sins going on that it's easy just to fall into.
And it's normalized.
Right. It becomes normal.
Yeah.
Right. So to be faithful, though, says sometimes you got to stand up and say something or stand up and do something.
Yeah.
I know recently, I think there's a good example of this in our culture today, was, I don't remember what state, Iowa, Idaho, somewhere, I think one of the I states.
Yeah.
This veteran went in, there was a statue of Satan, I don't know if you heard this story, in their state capital. And
really?
The dude went in and destroyed it.
That's awesome.
Ripped it apart. Well, of course, what does the government do? So he made a stand, like, we're not having this here, which kudos to him. Most people walked by that and just said nothing. This guy had enough. So he was being prosecuted, and they were saying it was a hate crime.
That's crazy because it's a devil statue.
Right. So it's
hate crime makes
no sense.
What do you guys love hate?
But you know what ended up happening to it? They threw it out. Nothing happened. He stood his ground and said, I'm going to do it. I mean, we want to show that, as young people, you can be faithful. As old people, you can be faithful. As middle-aged people, you can be faithful. And that's what the point of this is. Like, be a tent peg, something that puts his foot in the ground and says, no, I will not be moved. Yeah. Because thus saith the Lord. He promised that victory. He provided that victory. And a big part of that victory came through a hammer and a nail and a woman who just had enough courage to stand up and say enough's enough.
Yeah.
Like, for your age people, what is going to be faithful? And it's weird to say this because, like, 10 years ago, I couldn't fathom this. That to be faithful today is like, get married, have kids, and don't do it in your 30s and 40s. Like, do it in your 20s. Like, get married young and have kids, because my generation did it. I'm at the tail end of Gen X. Yeah. Like, you're like what, Gen, like,
you're almost
A or something? What
almost a hipster.
Yes. Yeah, I at times could be considered that. But, like, at my time, that was just normal. Like, I know a lot of people who got married young.
Like after high school.
Like right after high school, and people that I know that married their high school sweethearts, and they're still around, because we'll have to have a topic on schooling at some point, because I have a lot of opinions on public schools.
I've had experience with it.
Yes, you have. Yeah, you've had experience there. You've had experience in private schools
school,
and
which
home
is,
schools,
I think private school at times can be worse.
Yeah. So, like, those times, though, now I think the average age, and I could be wrong, and somebody, which at this point, we don't have enough people watching or listening to fact check us, so I could say anything. But it seems to me, I read an article that like 30 years ago, the average age of marriage was like 23, 24, 25, somewhere in there.
It's gone up to like 30.
It's like 33.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Crazy. That's considered middle-aged if you think that, I'm pretty sure, you can fact check me on this, but the age that people are dying nowadays due to like heart diseases, heart attacks, all these type of things, is like 60, around 60.
No.
So that is basically middle-aged.
Well, people do die like that, and you're not wrong. The average age of life, though, is actually up to 79 now.
79.
But
have we gotten healthier?
You know what's crazy is that, you know what the Golden Girls show?
Yeah.
I think one of those ladies in that show is like in her 40s or something like that. There was a movie when I was a kid with the diabetes guy. Diabetes. You know what I'm talking about? That guy?
I know the cat, but I don't know the...
Oh, there's a guy that it came from.
It wasn't the cat.
No, it wasn't the cat, but the cat looks like him. He was in a movie, and I think he was like 49 when he was in this movie. It was about old Cocoon. That's the name of the movie. But he was supposed to be like this old guy, and he was like in his 40s when he did it. And I'm like, man, I still feel like I'm 18, so I don't know what the heck.
Do you feel like you're 18, like mentally or physically?
Not physically.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt about that. I'm an old man when it comes to that. But we, that the age has gone up, and people are living longer. But they're also, it seems like when I was younger, 40 years old, 40-year-old people seemed a lot older. Like my grandmother, your great grandmother, died when she was, I think, 65, mid 60s, and looking back, I'm like, she seemed old, like really old.
Yeah.
Now, my mother is older than that. Your grandma is older than that.
Feels
and I'm
younger.
not saying her age. I'm not about to get destroyed. But she's a little older than that. And she seems younger, though, than my grandmother did.
But she's also very healthy.
She is very healthy. I agree with that. So I'm always jealous of that. My mother, that's older than me, a lot older than me, because she's my mother, is way healthier than me.
Yeah.
Maybe if she smoked cigars, she'd be like me.
Yeah, get those wrinkles.
Yeah, that would do it. But we want to see the next generation be faithful.
Yeah,
like the
be
Tempe,
different.
like JL.
Yeah, be different nowadays is also having a family, getting married young, like you said, having children, and just being a family, like stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife type of thing. Like.
Yeah, like that Butker guy, the kicker for the Chiefs that was the Catholic thing that basically said, I know some of you are looking forward to being a mother and a homemaker and a wife, and people lose their ever loving minds.
But you know what's the funniest part? The funniest part about that whole video was that everybody was applauding in the audience. Mm-hmm. You see that it was literally for a select audience, and then the people who were not a part of that select audience came out and said, "This is horrible. Why would you do this? I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to do all this to you. I'm going to ruin your career." But he did it for a select audience, which is the Christian audience. He did it at a Catholic school, I'm pretty sure.
It was. I don't know if this is alma mater, but it was a Catholic school, and he's a Catholic man.
Yeah.
But like people lose their minds when you say, well, what does a family look like? Well, it's a father working, a mother staying at home with children, raising them, like that's normal. And so today people lose their minds, but I don't believe in evolution. Evolution it's a fairy tale for grown-ups. But like from the biblical worldview, you're roughly 6,000 to 8,000 years old, somewhere in there, roughly, from when God said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. We're about 6,000 to 8,000 years removed from that. But for all of that time, men married women, and they got married, and they had kids, and the husband went, he served, he worked, he provided, the wife took care of the home and the children, and it was just the way things are. And so for we can go to probably in the 60s, you start seeing it change, which I wasn't alive then, I gotta point that out, in the 60s. But like things started changing, and you had the sexual revolution, you had different things that were going on, feminism, right, get to hold. And so now we can say for 7,940 years of history, we've had this. For the last 60 years, things have changed slightly, and everybody loses their mind when somebody goes, let's kind of think about how it used to be.
Yeah.
It's
for
weird.
these hundreds, thousands of years, it used to be, but then this upcoming 100 years, it's changed a lot. And people go crazy when you bring up history,
Right,
how
and-
it was and how we survived.
Yeah,
how we
they'll
didn't have
just
these
ignore
problems.
it. They just
Yeah.
ignore it. Like it's just all that matters is today and tomorrow. Nothing. There's this idea of tomorrow mattering more than today and the
Yeah.
past and in history and like. So we want people to say, like, I want to be a faithful Christian. I want to love the Lord. Go to my church, serve my family, serve my, love my friends, love my family, and
Yeah.
do it to the glory of God. And it's good. Like to find purpose in that, and it's okay. That's kind of what we want to do. So we're looking at the idea of a tent peg is what we're trying to do. We're
Yeah.
trying to
We're
help
trying to
other
be the
people
tent peg.
put a peg in the ground and say enough's enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to be who the Lord has called me to be. I'm going to do what he said to do, and no matter what anybody says, I'm going to do it. So,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where this came from. The idea of a tent peg. Like that story, read it. It was cool. I told Abby, and she's like, that sounds cool too. So then we started working on
Yeah.
a design for a logo, and we thought it was pretty cool. At least I did. It turned out pretty cool, and then we were like, let's do this, and we'll turn it into just about everything. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk, though, like Abby said, we're going to talk theology. We're going to talk current events. We can talk about just about anything.
Yeah.
For I'm sure like mom's watching is probably the only one, maybe grandma. Your brothers won't. Your sister might.
they
Your
won't.
sister might. Anna
She
might.
probably won't. She'll probably get cringed out.
Yeah, but she's a good sister, a good daughter. We can just tell her to watch it in the background, even if she just watches it and lets it run and then does it again, so we get like more and more.
she'll
views.
listen to it, just not watch it.
We'll get more and more views that way, though.
That doesn't matter though.
I know, but we'll trick the
Audience,
algorithm.
the algorithm.
We got to beat the algorithm. So we'll get,
Right.
with all your brothers and sisters, I mean, we could potentially get a lot of viewers. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's tons of you guys. So,
Yeah. Maybe.
not really. There's not tons. That'd be like 2,000. Anyways, but so we just want to go down that trail of like learning together. Like, what I find this to be great is there's a lot of things we're going to talk about that I don't have to study for.
Yeah. I'm the one who will have to study for it.
Well, you're going to be the one to ask the questions and kind of get the going and learn about it and be that audience. You're going to basically be the audience to the kids, young adults, the adults. I don't like young adults. Not a kid.
So I'm just a spectator here, apparently?
Well, no. You're in this sense, what we're doing, you're going to be able to bring those questions that people might not know to ask. That's the other thing, because you're quite inquisitive and like to ask questions. And yes, there are things that hopefully will have things where I'm going to be asking you, like, what the heck does skibbity riz toilet urinal mean? I don't know what it means.
You do too, know it.
I do not know what it means.
I've explained this already.
I don't remember much.
You do remember much.
What were we talking about? So, but we will have some fun, I think, too. I think we could definitely have some skibbity fun. Is that used correctly? Are you being salty? Is that something you guys use?
What is...
Salty?
No.
No. Okay. Anyways, that's what our goal is in this. So we're going to keep working at it.
Yeah.
We're going to get better at it. We're going to make it better and better every time. This is our first time doing it. It's our first time in front of a camera.
No, I've been in front of a camera before. I take photos.
Yeah, but like for trying to get an audience, like a longer video.
Yeah, I take Instagram photos.
Oh, okay.
I get an audience.
Okay.
And my
We could probably have
friends,
more of an
but-
audience than we'll have on this. So maybe if your friends actually watch this and listen and like it and do all that stuff, we'll have some audience.
Would they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Calling
invite some of
you
my
out.
friends on.
I don't have friends, so I have like two. The cat and
Yeah, lies. The whole church is your friend. All of the men there.
I'm just troublemaker. But anyway, so that's our goal. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So we want you to we want you to just keep watching and see what we do, right?
Yeah.
We are on. We'll throw those on there.
Okay.
We have an Instagram page.
Yeah.
We have a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. We have a YouTube page.
Yeah.
We have a TikTok page.
Really?
Yes, we do. I made
Interesting.
One. I made one. So we've got that too.
So hip.
I know. Because I am.
We also have a Twitter.
And we have Twittergram too. No, it's X. You already told me it was X. Ooh,
My bad.
Boom, roasted. So that's what our goal is, though. We want to make it fun. So we're going to create different content, do things like that, because, like you said, we have a big family, and there's a lot of fun, stupid things we do too. So we'll probably have some other content for you guys. So we'll see what it is, right?
Yeah.
Got anything else
We'll
you want to
see.
say?
Not really.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay. Well, let's say that's all we got. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for
Yeah.
Wait, we need to come up with a good closing thing. We haven't come up with that yet. That's something you got to
Yeah.
work on, like a closing saying. It's not like me being dumb is the closing.
No, but you are.
I know, but you know what I mean. Something catchy, trendy, like Skibbity Urinal instead of it, or like Skibbity Roy.
I'm gonna leave if you keep doing.
What about
this.
hippity hoppity?
How about no?
Skibbity
How about
boppity.
no? How about no?
No. Okay, that's fair.
How about no?
So we just want to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a good catchphrase. How about no?
Kind of like, how about no?
That's the end.